In this video, I'm going to tell you how I went from making $10 an hour to a whopping $150,000 in less than a year's time. Many of you who've been watching my videos may know that when I was in college, I was awarded a scholarship into New York University by holding a GPA of over 3.9 and graduating at the top of my class in the borough of Manhattan Community College. And I did it without using the internet. Anytime that I had to write a paper, I would simply pull out some books using the Dewey Decimal System over at the library, or browse through microfilm with the chance of meeting somebody, of socializing, instead of hitting Google or hitting Just Ask Jeeves or any of the search engines and the information resources that were available on the internet during that period. Therefore, New York University had to actually force feed the internet to me. During my broadcast journalism class, my professor had his friend Sri Srinivasan. He was the tech reporter for WABC, Channel 7 News in New York City, and he held a workshop entitled Smarter Surfing for Journalists. I went to NYU for journalism. I wanted to be a broadcast journalist, or I wanted to be a writer, but to get a quote real education, I studied to be a journalist. So during that class, he introduced us to his website entitled Sri.net. This was the way that the website looked at the time, according to the Wayback Machine. So this Sri Srinivasan, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Sri's Tech Guru appearances on Channel 7 Thursday mornings at 6:45 p.m. And he gave us this website. I didn't even want to log on to the website. So I guess he knew that it was painful for other people at the time to go ahead and log on a website. So he actually distributed a printout of his website to everybody. I took the printout and I stashed it in my briefcase and thought, you know what? I may not be interested in this stuff right now. However, perhaps in the future, I may need it, especially I'm going to school, right? So I kept it in my briefcase, and a couple of years later, after NYU, I found myself in my mother's house. And about after a month's time staying there, I said, I've got to get a job. So I picked up the classifieds. The first job opening that I found was for a help desk representative for an internet service provider, actually for a contractor of an internet service provider in South Florida called Bell South. So I called them. First thing that the person asked me was a couple of questions on computers. I remembered a couple of things that I knew that I learned back in my computer class in elementary school. So I told her about ROM, permanent memory, and RAM, temporary memory. That's what I remembered about it. And she asked me what was a NIC. I said it was a network interface. And I didn't say the last part. She said, before I even finished, she stated, okay, cool. They needed so many people that she scheduled me for an interview right away. My interview was scheduled for the following day at around 10 or 11 a.m. So I figured, all right, I've got some studying to do. And first thing that came to mind was, let me go ahead and look at that printout that Sri gave me about 2 years back. So I take a look at this website that's listed on here. You probably don't even know about it. So I'm going to tell you, about.com, personal guides on hundreds of topics. When you know nothing about a topic, I used to always think that it was know everything about anything or something like that. Anyway, when you know nothing about a topic, that's the way it's titled. This is the way that the website looked at the time. Right? And you could learn about all kinds of things, hobbies, games, house and home. Basically, it was the internet in a nutshell. Computing and technology was the page that I visited it right here. So I spent the whole night until 4 a.m. learning everything about a computer. What's a hard drive? What's a RAM stick? What's a network interface card? A NIC, I knew I had to know that. So with my brain jam-packed with all this information and my laptop under my armpit, I went to the interview and they gave me the test. Anytime I knew most of the answers, however, when I encountered a question that I did not know, then I would just go open up my laptop, load up the Microsoft Help application, and I would just perform a query, and I practically got a perfect score. I saw the score on the test. She's like, you know your stuff. I was hired. I started taking anywhere from 90 to 100 plus calls on a daily basis, helping people get online. I worked a 3-day, 12-hour shift and one 6.5-hour shift. So I had some free time on my hand. I took up amateur boxing. I actually tried out for The Contender. I don't know if you guys, it's a show that Sylvester Stallone actually produced. I met Sylvester Stallone's brother, and I was boxing like crazy. I didn't make it because I had just started learning boxing. I was barely moving the heavy bag at the time. It takes about a month to start moving the heavy bag when you're hitting it, for those of you who have boxed at all. And during a couple of my days off, I went with my wife out to the Kinko's, which you know is FedEx office. Since I had a dial-up connection in my house, my mother's house, I went ahead and plugged in the Ethernet cable to get a nice broadband connection that I learned about at the job. And I visited one website that was interesting to me on Sri.net called Search Engine Watch, newsletters and rankings. So for some reason, I thought that there was a label here. Perhaps this is not the same page that I looked at, but it read how search engines work. Or perhaps it was the printout. So it's probably an older version of what I'm seeing here, because I was looking at the printout and it read how search engines work, and it linked you to Search Engine Watch. And I went to Sri and I visited this website right here, Search Engine Watch. So as you can see, they still have content that teaches you about search engine optimization, pay-per-click. These are all online marketing practices that you execute so you can welcome traffic from the search engines, so you can generate revenue online for your websites, for your businesses, for anything that you're doing. At the time, this thing was loaded with ads promising to teach you how to make $500 a day while sitting on a white sand beach in Jamaica. I followed all these ads, and I was taking all kinds of free courses by simply giving them my contact information, giving my name, giving my email address so they could spam the hell out of me. I even created an email address that only took spam emails. So that's the email that I use, and I still have it to this day. That I basically, anytime that I want to learn about something, whether I'm questioning I should actually sign up for this thing, I go ahead and give that email address and I take the free course or whatever, and there I can gauge whether it's something that I want to explore further, as opposed to giving them my real email address. So I follow these links and I started taking all these free classes. So I started learning the basics. And this was about only a couple of days, but I did this probably about 3 or 4 times. And I learned the basics of internet marketing, how to identify keywords that are both popular and competitive, not too competitive. So you have a chance to be able to rank for these terms on the search engines, or you're able to advertise using these terms when launching a Google AdWords or Google Ads campaign, what was known as Google AdWords at the time. In other words, posting ads on the internet to point them back to your own digital assets. So I left it alone after just reading this stuff for some time. But that set the very first foundation, the very first, right before what you put on the primer, the sheetrock or whatever, the paper on the sheetrock of the internet marketing information that I would eventually execute to build my business, to generate millions on Reddit, etc. So you could allot a couple of days time to that. Fast forward like 9 months later, I left Florida and I'm working for another internet service provider called Cablevision. It's owned by a family, I believe they're called the Dolans, that they own Madison Square Garden. They own Optimum Online. I started working for Optimum Online. I'm taking 60 calls on a daily basis, 5 days a week. And during that time, during my downtime, my breaks, etc., I start not only learning about marketing on the search engines, but then I start executing campaigns. Actually, the game changer was an ebook that I purchased for $47 at the time. That's how much paid courses were. They're not thousands of dollars as you see them now. And the ebook taught you how to launch campaigns on Google Ads, Google AdWords at the time, to have advertisements pointing links back to websites using your affiliate link. So if you generate a sale based off a click that someone performs, by seeing that ad, then you get a cut of that sale. So if someone sees my ad, they click on the ad and they make a purchase, I get anywhere from 50 to 60%. And you could use, and I was using a platform called ClickBank. It's still in existence, I believe. Let me just make sure. ClickBank. And they give commissions of anywhere from 50 to 70%. So that's one way that you could start. You start selling products on ClickBank and they'll give you a cut. Global retailer and affiliate marketplace. And there are other affiliate networks as well that you could use. like share a sale, etc. However, I started with ClickBank, so I would point links from Google Ads to that. And I got stuck. I was at the point where, listen, I'm spending money, pointing links to these websites. However, I'm not making money. So I contacted the instructor, the author of the ebook, and he told me, listen, just use brand names that are relevant to the product that you are selling. So I started thinking about, one of the things that I was selling was memberships to websites that distributed paid surveys. So places where you could sign up, you could fill out a profile, and then companies would send you surveys and focus groups or opportunities to take surveys and focus groups in exchange for revenue. I started advertising using keywords such as Monster, Indeed. I'm not sure if it was around that time. Anyway, job search engines. So I started using those job search engines as my keywords that I would target when posting these advertisements. I believe Dice was one of them at that particular point in time. And I started generating sales. I started making a few $100 on a weekly basis. And I was like, all right, cool. This is awesome. So I had this information in me. Some people wanted to partner with me. However, I started getting sick at the time. I started suffering from a number of issues from which I was suffering from a couple of years back, from eating Mickey D's every day, eating street food every day, Latin and Chinese food from the street, Burger King and eating gyros and stuff like that. I mean, no offense to the people that make all this stuff, but it was hurting you. All this fast food, processed food on a daily basis, it's going to take a toll. I had become lactose intolerant at one particular point in time. There was at one point in my life that I couldn't eat anything. Otherwise, I was running to the bathroom right away for number 2. So I had a colonic administered and I started eating real clean. Actually, this was before I left, but it started getting worse because I started eating so clean that my body had to get adjusted to burning fat as opposed to burning sugar, based off what I know, and I started suffering from blood sugar lows. So my brain turned to mush. I couldn't learn anything. So I'll allot all this introductory information that I picked up through my experiments nowhere more than a month. So I practically hit rock bottom after that. I mean, I'm collecting unemployment. I'm working out still, and sometimes I'm passing out while I'm working out. I got real thin, dropped to 100. I dropped to 135 pounds. And I started following this guy a nutritionist called Dr. Sears. He's a scientist. Lean proteins, which can come in the form of meats or other sources of protein, fruits and vegetables. My weight went back up to about 147, a little thinner than I am right now. Got some of my energy back, but my brain sometimes was still like mush. I couldn't learn anything, so I wasn't doing anything. So you can still allot the introductory part of me learning internet marketing to about a month's time at that particular moment in time. I went to Colombia, came back, then I started working all these kinds of odd jobs. I was doing pizza deliveries and for Domino's and for this mom and pop shop out in Kew Gardens. Tears were rolling out of my eyes, literally. I'm like, wow, my mother's she's balking at me what's wrong with you? You got a scholarship into NYU, all this education, and this is what you're doing, you're broke. And I finally was like, listen, I'm gonna go over the road with my CDL Class A. If you remember in my video that I launched in December, I told you that I got a grant from New York State to take a CDL Class A. So I had the CDL Class A, however, I didn't use it. And I was like, you know what? The easiest job to get with a CDL Class A is driving over the road. It's a job no one wants to take. You got to live on a truck. And I was about to take it. My wife was like, you know what? Don't do that. Try to look for a job that's better suited for your skill set right here in New York. And I'm like, all right, cool. I load up Craigslist. First job offering that I see, telemarketer for Learning Annex. Learning Annex is like a vocational educational institution where they had all kinds of crash courses on all kinds of things that you want to learn, right? And they had partnered with the Trump organization at this particular moment in time. And they were launching this thing called the Trump Think Big Expo. So I was a telemarketer for this organization, and I was making anywhere from 200 to 300 calls, calling real estate agents, calling all kinds of people, trying to sell them tickets to the Trump Think Big Expo. I'm calling people, and of course, left and right. Now, I don't know if I just suck at telemarketing or it's just not as effective as other methods. I think it's not as effective as other methods because I've been a lot more successful with inbound marketing. And I'll tell you more about that shortly through search engine optimization, paycheck protection. pay-per-click advertising, using social media, public speaking engagements. I've been a lot more effective, and I always get reports from people that it's been a lot more effective. However, at one particular point in time, it was effective to cold call people. I guess that was before my time, before any time I started doing sales. Anyway, I'm failing left and right. I'm not getting any sales. The CEO of this thing, he's always walking around and he's looking like I'm paying people to just jump on the internet. I'm doing research trying to see. And you know what? I'm like, let me start using a little bit of the knowledge that I learned. Remember, I got like about a month's worth of online marketing training, perhaps even less. I'm like, you know what? One of the key tips that that other people have found to work for them is launching a blog. I launched this blog called blogspot.com. And I start writing. I just basically start writing about what's going on with the sales of tickets to the Trump Think Big Expo. I think he got paid like $1.5 million to do this thing. And Jeffrey Gitomer was in attendance. Also, George Foreman was in attendance. So I start pointing links to this blog on Craigslist. So I start getting traffic, and I put my phone number right here. You can see it right here. I believe my phone number here, and the phone number wasn't here, but I had my email here. Well, I think I put the phone number on the Craigslist post, and the Craigslist post was effective. People started reading. They say, "Listen, I loved your post on Blogspot," and they start calling me. Next thing you know, I'm generating sales, and I don't have to use all the tactics, like all the closing tactics and all this stuff. I'm just telling people about it, and they're buying this stuff. And everyone's asking me, like, "Do you know people in Minnesota? Why is it that people are calling you?" You know, it was in Atlanta. Was it in Atlanta? Oh, sorry. Yeah, the first one was in Atlanta. Yeah, now I remember correctly. The second one, I believe, was in Minnesota. I didn't do that one. I didn't work that one. People are calling me, like, "Do you know people in Atlanta? Like, why are people calling you? And, you know, do you know people? What's wrong? Like, what's your secret or whatever?" And, you know, I'm just getting inbound. And next thing you know, I helped register 11,000 attendees to the Donald Trump Think Big seminar. Just using this tactic right here. I'm reviewing books. I interviewed Jeffrey Gitomer, which was the sales guru that was speaking at the event, right? And then later on, I actually worked with the Donald Trump organization again after I landed a job, because what happened while I was in the Learning Annex, remember, it's a vocational training crash course / institute or whatever. They have courses on everything. So I started taking courses on everything, from dancing salsa to becoming to learning how to be a certified personal trainer, to enhancing my public speaking skills, to neuro-linguistic programming, you know, mirroring people and stuff like that, learning how to deal with people, how to be empathetic. The courses that helped me the most were, one, how to learn search engine optimization, how to optimize your website so it could welcome more organic traffic from the search engines. I actually took the course from the person that was contracted to do internet marketing for the Learning Annex, and he was like, "Why are you taking my course? Did they send you here to spy on me?" So I picked up some more information on that, and I picked up a course on how to land any job that I wanted. In other words, a 6-figure job, whatever type of job that I wanted. And that was probably the biggest game changer right there, because that substantially enhanced my sales skills. All getting a job is making one sale. That's what my soon-to-be mentor, Barry Cohen, he was the instructor at that course. I believe I have his website right here. This guy is awesome in terms of writing resumes. If you ever want a resume or any type of career coaching, this is the man right here. Together with his skills, I mean, this is another story. I'll just digress a little bit. I'll just give you a quick case study. His skills, and then me incorporating, like I told you in one of my previous videos, basically drafting and presenting proposals at job interviews, something that no candidate does. And then using his skills, I landed a stay-at-home job making about $2,300 a week for AOL. And using those skills and using the information that I picked up from his book. So I loved everything he was talking about, and I used some of the information that he told me, the tactics, and I ended up becoming internet marketing manager for a private jet charter company. And this is the organization right here, right? So the day that I took the interview, the hiring manager asks me, he's like, "How much you want to get paid?" And I was like, I was kind of dumbfounded. I'm like, wow, like I'm actually gonna get this job, right? I found the advertisement to this job on Craigslist. I found that I knew some of these skills. I had some of these skills because I already had a couple of skills managing advertising campaigns, and I'm doing online marketing with the Learning Annex, although I wasn't hired to do so. However, I was successful at doing it, helping register over 11,000 attendees to the Donald Trump Think Big Expo. So now I'm establishing a portfolio. So I remember what my uncle said at the particular moment in time, at my particular moment in time. And this is why sometimes from generation to generation, you don't generate as much wealth as you should. Generational wealth doesn't evolve as it should, because one thing that came to mind was my uncle when he told me, listen, I'm a supervisor at a factory and I make $17 an hour. And that's practically what a professional makes anyway, so I'm good. So first thing that came to mind was I need to be making at least $17 an hour. So I'm like, you know what? How about $18 an hour? I was like, the dude was like, you sure? He's like, all right, cool. Sign me up right away. Bam, $18 an hour. And then even like the CEOs like looking at me like, wow, like I love your suit, man. Like how we get you so cheap or whatever, right? And I was like, whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. I let it slide. I'm like, whatever. I'm open. $18 an hour. And cool. Next thing you know, they're partnering with the Donald Trump organization again. Actually, the first week that I launched their advertising campaign on AdWords, we landed a trip with Eli Wizzo, and this is his testimonial right here. I would look forward to traveling again. Chartered carriers, as your entire staff was very kind and gracious. And this is Eli Wizzo. He's a Nobel Peace Prize winner in 1986. And I mean, I'm generating revenue for these people. They were capitalized at $4 million, turned it into a $16 million company real quickly. And I started taking certifications to become a Google Ads expert. Start taking even more training to ensure that, and I actually had the client, because the client, this is, by the way, non-W-2 filed income. And remember what I told you about non-W-2 filed income. If you generate it because you're selling something, now you're essentially operating a small business. And that's what I started doing without me even knowing it, not even thinking about it. I had a sole proprietorship. It's a small business because I'm generating 1099 income, about $720 a week. I'm doing press releases and I'm writing right here. You can see me, Internet Marketing Manager. I became Chief Technology Officer of this organization. I'm writing press releases left and right because we partnered with an organization that got Donald Trump to play at a professional amateur golf tournament with Tom Watson, Natalie Gulbis, and basically we were like on a yacht. I shook Donald Trump's hand on the yacht, and we had me, my cousin, my wife, and his wife had $600 plate seats. And we're dipping breadsticks into wine, and we're having a ball, getting all loud on the yacht, etc. And we're meeting all kinds of politicians and all this other stuff. And this was a big success because I got them on ESPN, on golf.com, got them all types of publications, got all types of publicity, helped them raise over $250,000 for 2 Harlem charities. So I'm taking a look at the guy next to me, and he's making $10,000 a month, and he doesn't know half or do half of what I do. So I'm like, I'm doing something extremely wrong right here. I'm definitely getting underpaid. They're jerking me up in this spot. So I approach the owner of the organization and I tell him, listen, this is what I want to do, and this is how much I should be getting paid to do this. I'm gonna have to raise your rates on you. And he's like, you know what? You're about to have a kid. My wife was actually pregnant with my son at the time, and my son was in the belly while we were on a yacht eating salmon and popping champagne and drinking wine and all this other stuff. And he's like, I'm gonna give you $1,000 a week. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm making $4,000 off of that. Now, based off the information, I took the information that I learned, my portfolio at the time, all the success that I've enjoyed, promoting the Manhattan Golf Classic, promoting this organization, generating up to $150,000 in a month's time. And I started telling other business owners about this. I started networking at meetups, and I started telling people about it, and I started getting hired to perform these services for other organizations. I got up to generating $150,000 in less than a year's time doing that. Now, that's back then. around '06. How would you do that today, in this day and age, in 2021? First off, Google has certification programs open for you so you could learn how to operate their advertising platform. Now, don't get it twisted. It's not about the certification, because I've seen a number of people on the internet cry about some organizations, they don't honor these certifications that you have. You want a real certification, go and pay for it. Forget about the certifications. It is all about the positive return on the investment that the client makes in you. So if an organization is paying you $10,000 during a specific period, for instance, for a month, you better be generating $50,000 at the very least, or better yet, $100,000 for that organization during that month for you to justify. And as long as you're generating that money, they're going to keep paying you. Okay? Doesn't matter whether you have a certification. I have a lab certification. I don't think I renewed it once. I never renewed it. I only took it once. I was actually studying for this thing while my wife was giving birth, while she was in labor with my first son. I never took it again. You don't need it. What you do need is to be able to use these tools in order to generate revenue for your clients or for your own organization. Number, you say you have a number of businesses. This is the way to do it. And they have all these and all this stuff. And as a matter of fact, the certifications, that's the only thing for which I think they charge, because I paid, I think it was $50 at the time. I do see there are some certifications on Google where they charge you like $100 for the certificate. But again, the certificate is completely unnecessary. Sometimes the bachelor's degree is completely unnecessary. They just want to see the skills. They just want to see the proof in the pudding. So, apply your Google Ads knowledge, and you can go ahead, and I've listed this stuff, again, on the spreadsheet where I list links to information resources and application portals to grants for everyone. As a matter of fact, I don't think I may not have listed this particular link. Just to be safe, I'll go ahead and list it right here. Right while we're on the Google Ads, grow your skills to advertise ads and get certified. Here you go. Bang. Get certified. And you can build a whole career. You can build as much money as you want doing this stuff. This is money. They talk about digital currency as Bitcoin. This is digital currency. This is how you generate revenue, when you could use this fiat that you generate as a result to buy all these assets that people are talking about right now. Okay? And look, and Google has courses on practically everything. Look, they've got applied digital skills. You want to pick up. This is just one part of the puzzle right here. They got all these lessons that they have available. Take a look. Google Workspace training, stay connected over summer break, science, digital art games. Now this is superficial stuff. You want to get into the stuff that's generating revenue. Take a look at this particular. You saw me add it on the spreadsheet, right? Now, one of those practical ways for you to drive traffic to your website without using money, because Google Ads, you have to use money, and sometimes you get the best results from using clients' money as opposed to your money. Search engine optimization. And I've linked the SEO starter guide right here on the spreadsheet. Search engine optimization starter guide. This will give you a great start in terms of learning how to configure your website to welcome more traffic, to have more search engine users visit your website. Because remember, search engines, that's what you find things. So when you're looking to buy something, you want to buy a purse, a tire, you want to buy a trip from here to Bermuda or on Virgin Galactic to the moon, or you want to go into orbit, you look for it on the search engines. And the search engine optimization starter guide is a perfect start. Also, people sleep on this. Reddit big SEO. Now, Reddit is an amazing platform. Aside from the millions that I've made by directly promoting content on Reddit, I've made even more revenue from the information that I have learned on Reddit. There are all kinds of professionals, and you network with people that offer all kinds of advice for free. As a matter of fact, if anyone charges for information on Reddit, they typically get blown out the water. There's a witch hunt out for them. They'll burn you at the stake. Don't do it. I squeaked by with a few things. I had to lean on it when I worked with the 2012 Barack Obama presidential campaign. I knew that this platform was heavily liberal. So, people on there, most people have liberal thinking. So as long as you ride that wave, you stand a great chance of being able to promote content on here and generate revenue as a result of the traffic you drive to any of the digital assets that you link on Reddit. Take a look at the big SEO top page right here. Reddit R big SEO top page. And you see people, they share all kinds of case studies and tips. Look, I've put together 50 free Google Data Studio templates. It's a data visualization tool that people use when they practice search engine optimization, configure their website to welcome more traffic from the search engines. Look at the wiki on any subreddit on Reddit. The wiki will always have more information. So you go look for beginners page, you open that up. Look, it has all of these beginner's guide to SEO on Moz. That's an organization that my man Rand Fishkin founded or co-founded. Google's SEO guide, how search engines work, learn the SEO on Moz, etc. This is another Reddit, which is excellent. Just start, right? And it encourages its users, its subscribers to just start a business, just like I've been telling you. Simply sell something. And people, right, again, they're transparent. I guess they're more comfortable because they're using pseudonyms to go ahead and share how they, built a website for less than $2,000, which now makes $1,000. And is this entrepreneur? Those Facebook ads. Take a look at any topic, and there's information available for you to learn on it right on Reddit. And then you take a look at the case studies because, again, like I told you, the Google certification, nothing to sneeze at. It's good because it gives you a solid foundation and it teaches you how to use all the tools, all the applications, all the resources available to you on the Google Ads platform. However, the value comes in you executing the information, you using the tools in order to generate revenue. And you do that by seeing what other people are sharing on the internet. People, they get real transparent. I'll give you a quick hack. When you see someone trying to sell a paid course and you can't afford it, although it's a good course, go ahead and take a look at the curriculum. They typically make it available. And take a look at the specific courses that are offered in that course. And go ahead and perform Google and YouTube searches on that particular topic. And you'll find the free information. It may be a little more time consuming. I've been a little more indiscriminate in terms of the content that I've purchased. And I have purchased content because my thing is, listen, it's an investment in myself. If I'm not making the amount of money that I need to make, your first investment has to be in yourself. Even if you have to pay for content. Some people say, oh, sometimes things are scams. It may happen. Take a look at return policies, exercise those if that's something that causes you anxiety. But what you need to do, basically, take information. Sometimes it's free. I learned how to use Dig, and Dig was one of the key drivers of traffic to all these publications where I built my portfolio, where I was able to work for some of the biggest publications on the planet. Adweek, Billboard, and my work has been featured all over the place. Got to work with the Department of Defense, thank God, through Dig. And I learned how to use Dig for free. I didn't pay one dime. I just learned how to use Dig, how to make friends on Dig. And I basically based all my social media strategy based off my success on Dig. You want to get cutting edge? Right now, as I told you, we list grants for everyone. Udacity has an AWS machine learning scholarship program. So if you enroll into this thing, they're going to give you the foundations of machine learning. So there's the prerequisite to the main class. And if you are among the top 425 performers in the foundations course, in that initial course, the prerequisite to the main course, then they'll give you a scholarship into the AWS Machine Learning Engineer Nano Degree program. It doesn't take that long. Look, only 3 to 5 hours a week to go ahead and learn this stuff. You can sign up, and I'll go ahead and include a link right now in the spreadsheet on the free education tab. I'm explaining to you why this is the most valuable tab on the spreadsheet. Because you get a grant. First off, a lot of them are a gamble. Even the SBA programs, they're competitive. And even if you get the money, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, they're ghost. That's it. You got to learn what to do with that money. If you're foolish, when you're broke, you're going to be foolish with money. You're going to lose it quickly. Understand? Easy money, but money that easy come, easy go, right? So for Machine learning, that's basically a form of artificial intelligence where you learn how to program computers to start thinking for themselves. You could program your own Terminator. Some of the prerequisites include learning some Python. You want to get deep into Python, you want to completely upgrade your brain, take a look at computer science circles right here. Okay, and I've linked it right here. How to code Python right here. This thing is crazy. I went through these lessons in about a month. And the problems, you don't give up on this thing though. Some of the things that they tell you to do, you're like, what? It's like buds training for your brain, okay? And you're like, but if you eventually stick with it, you go ahead and perform queries and find out what are the formulas that you have to incorporate into the code, you could do it. Trust me, I did it, you could definitely do it. Learn Python with Google. Google has a free 3-day Python course where they've got like a course right here on YouTube, and they teach you the basics of Python where you learn the syntax and you're able to use those skills in order to operate other, like pre-built Python applications, and you can build on those skills. So those are the prerequisites for machine learning. And I have other resources here. Look, I even have a free course on Coursera to do contact tracing. You want to make like $26 an hour? Right here is the beginning of contact tracing. Maybe you could start your own business doing contact tracing. You got to learn at least the technical part of it first so you have an understanding of the services that you're going to provide. Look, developers.google, they have everything. Look, everything that you need right here. All these things are in high demand. You want to take a look at how much people are making doing machine learning? Look at Upwork. People post their profiles and people reach out. I hire people on here all the time. Look at this guy in the US, $500 an hour, $249 an hour for Greg T, machine learning expert, $100 an hour. Some people say, oh, but they've got people in India willing to work for $1 an hour to do the same stuff. Nope. Back-end development, machine learning, $38 an hour. Of course, these people, they're top rated at $35 an hour in the Ukraine. United States, $200 an hour, $99 an hour. All right? You could build your own applications for this stuff. You have ideas. I know a user on Reddit who took open data from New York City, and he's a coder, and I'm not sure how much of a good coder he is, but he basically yanked information using his coding skills from the New York City open database, and he discovered that New York City was making, I think it was like tens of thousands of dollars by ticketing people on legal parking spots. And now he has a blog on it, and he's collecting ad revenue. He built a business off of learning this stuff. Come on, look, YouTube Creator Academy. I've showed you this several times on my spreadsheet that you could find at bit.ly/bizss21. You want to learn how to do what I do on YouTube. I've gone through this course myself, not completely, and I'm always looking at case studies. How are people driving views to their videos? And I'm studying the markets. I'm seeing how things are working, understand? And this will give you a great start. And then you take a look at the case studies. How have other people been successful? People are sharing information all the time. This is the search engine optimization starter guide that I told you about earlier. These are the forums on Reddit. Even on Fiverr, look, people are teaching machine learning. Look how much they're charging. $35, $400, $100. And if you meet people and you find a use case for the skills that you're picking up, especially with internet marketing. With internet marketing, some people complain, oh, but you got to sell the stuff. Listen, you just make friends, man. Make friends. I mean, once I moved into a better neighborhood, I lived in Howard Beach in New York City. I mean, I took my son to school, and his friend's mother actually had her husband hire me. He saw that I was featured on Forbes. He's like, how much you gonna charge me? And bang, it's a wrap. That's probably been one of my longest clients. I've held them down since 2012 already. Sometimes there have been days where I've generated upwards of $15,000 for them. Grow Google. Take a look at Grow Google as well. There's all kinds of training over here. Look, for small businesses, for job seekers and students, resources to be found online. And it's simple as that. One of the easiest ways now for you to sell your internet marketing services or any services that you have to offer is by spending a couple of bucks on Facebook ads and pointing them back to a landing page. You can get landing pages on Lead Pages or ClickFunnels, where you collect people's email addresses. And once you get a number of people, a couple of hundred people potentially, on an email list, now you can follow up with these people. And how do you get them? You offer a lead magnet. Just like all these courses and all these products you see on the internet where they offer you free information in exchange for your contact information. Why do they do that? Because once they have a couple of thousand or a couple of hundred of you on an email list, marketers know that a percentage of you will buy the marketer's product. So you do the same thing. You will know that anywhere from 1% to 10% of the people that are subscribed to your email list will buy your product. That's why it's key. And how do you get them to sign up? You offer a lead magnet through free content. And you can also post your profiles on Upwork or Fiverr and other freelancing platforms. And simply find people with whom to speak. Go ahead and visit your local Chamber of Commerce or visit your local SBDC, your small business. Again, take a look at the spreadsheet on the tab labeled Small Business Resources. So for instance, let's say you volunteer for an organization to hold workshops. Like for instance, Barry Cohen, he holds workshops at libraries, and he did so at Learning Annex to a certain point. And that's where he gets clients. That's where he gets people that pay him for resumes and cover letters and career coaching. I never paid him for career coaching, but I would always buy books from him. And I sold his books as well. I actually posted advertisements to his book on Amazon, and I would always sell his book. So that's why I always had a cool place in his heart where he always told me, he gave me advice. He was my mentor for some time. And again, together with the information that he provided in his book and through consultations with him and me using my skills, my internet marketing skills, like I told you, stay-at-home job, $2,300 check every week.